as the world's eyes were fixed on the Israel-Hamas war in Gaza and the Israel-Hezbollah conflict in Lebanon? A stunning 11-day blitz by Islamist militants in a neighboring nation ended the 24-year-long reign of a controversial leader. The impact of the fall of Bashar al-Assad is certain to be felt beyond the borders of war-torn Syria, with reverberations across the entire Middle East and the world at large. One country that is likely to be majorly hit is Assad's benefactor, the Islamic Republic of Iran, with many arguing that this could be the end of Khamenei's ambition to dominate the Middle East. On December 7, 2024, when the Syrian jihadist group took over Damascus, the symbols of Iran's dominance littered the floor. Portraits of Iran's supreme leader Ali Khamenei and Ayatollah Khomeini were discarded. Images glorifying former Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah were torn from walls, and flames consumed Qasem Soleimani's posters. So, what happens next in Iran? Will the flames of Syria also engulf neighboring Tehran? Is the Syria crisis the beginning of the end of the Khamenei regime?
Greetings one and all. Super Tuesdays here in the Holy Land, in the holy city of Elon Moreh Shechem, my holy yeshiva here. We are on the 16th day of the month of Kislev. Yes, you got it right. 9 days away from the holy holiday of Hanukkah. This class was not supposed to be. Those that remember, I had two classes on the redemption process that we see unfolding right in front of our eyes. The 70-day period between Sukkot and Hanukkah, what does it mean for us? But after that class, I started running in to all of this information, this spiritual privy information. And with God's help, we're gonna get it out today. Always thank you to our sponsors, to our channel, our holy Mike, and all his holy work and his holy group, unit of people that do so many great things for the people of Israel, and also to the great blog channel, Tomer Devora. Check it out. Okay. So, continuing on the redemption process that we see unfolding right before our eyes. There are three holidays connected to our three forefathers. This is brought down in the Torah on Orach Chaim 4:17. Sukkot is connected to Jacob, Shavuot is connected to Isaac, and Passover to Abraham. By the way, I'm going to try to go as fast as possible because I know that we're coming up on Hanukkah, so I'm going to try to get this in. So you can always listen to it a couple of times. Now, 2. Yaakov was born and also passed away on the holiday of Sukkot. This is brought down in many books. I'll just mention 2 in the Khatam Sofer, Torah Moshe, Genesis, page 207, in Bnei Yisachar on the month of Kislev. Yaakov born and dies at the age of 147. He dies on Sukkot, and 70 days later, the mourning period, M-O-U-R, ends in Egypt. He's brought to the land of Israel. There's a 7-day mourning period, and then somewhere during the time of Hanukkah, he is buried in the Cave of the Patriarchs in the city of Hebron. Okay, now, this idea that Jacob was buried during the holiday of Hanukkah, once again, there's various opinions. Where it was at the beginning of Hanukkah, was it at the end? Okay, not relevant for our subject. Sometime during Hanukkah, that's the important point here. The Khatam Sofer and many others bring this down. For example, the Khatam Sofer brings it down on his discussion on the 8th of Tevet, page 85, column 3. Now, every one of the 12 months, when we pray the additional service on the beginning of the month, Rosh Chodesh, there is a certain order of God's name, the four-letter name of God, and it's based on a verse, 4 words in the Torah. So the month of Kislev, the 4-letter name of God during that month is based on a verse in Genesis chapter 50, verse 11, which talks about how the Canaanites saw the burial procedure coming into the land. They saw Jacob's procession coming into the land. That is an amazing thing. The name of God, the holy name of God for the entire month of Kislev is based on a verse that speaks about the funeral of Jacob. So Jacob was buried during the month of Kislev, more specifically on Hanukkah. Next, how did it go down? Jacob's burial, the sons brought Jacob's casket into the cave of the patriarchs, and then the brother of Jacob came, Esau, he comes by, and he claims that ownership to the plot, not Jacob doesn't have ownership, he has the ownership, and he's not willing to budge until there's proof otherwise. Innocent until proven guilty, I guess. So the fastest runner of the Jewish people was the tribe of Naphtali. They're represented, their symbol on the flag was the deer. Deers are pretty quick. And therefore, he's heading to Egypt to get the paperwork. In the meantime, a member of the tribe of Dan, his name was Hushim, he takes off. He says, what's going on over here? He was hard of hearing. And they yell or something, and he understands. He says, my father ain't going to lay here in disgrace because of this wicked Esau. And boom! Just knocks his head off. And according to the Talmud, we're in the Tractate of Sota, page 13, side A, the eyes of Esau, very important, the head and the eyes, but we'll have to do that for a different class. They have tremendous meanings to them. Why is the Torah, why do I care how a person was, when he was killed, or how he was killed, who cares? No, it's very important information. Eyes represent, 2 eyes represent something, not 1 eye. The head represents something, but that's for a different, beyond the scope of this class. According to the Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer, there's a different type of take on it. No, the head of Esau fell into the casket of Isaac, unlike what it says in the Talmud in Sota, where the eyes of Esau rolled to the lap of Jacob. Jacob opened his eyes and mentioned and recited a verse that is from Psalms, if I'm not mistaken, chapter 49, that the righteous should rejoice when they see vengeance against the wicked. Okay. Anyways, what's amazing here is the fall of Esau. Esau, of course, represents the 4th and last exile, the harshest one. The other ones were 70 years, 52 years, very short. But this one is going on for close to 2,000 years. So this is an amazing, on Hanukkah, there is the potential for the redemption of the Jewish people, represented by Hushim from the tribe of Dan, destroying and killing the archenemy of the Jewish people, Esau, Edom, the 4th exile. This is an amazing opportunity of the year. This happened during the holiday of Hanukkah, as we said. Next point, 12 months of the year the Arizal takes the 12 months of the year, and they're divided up, and each month is represented by a different tribe. The tribe of Dan represents the entire month. The entire month of Tevet. Now, I will just touch on this point for a second, though it's very deep and it's not short. But just to get the idea, when the Talmud tells us, and our sages tell us that the head of Esau was cut off, this is a very, very important detail, because once the head is cut off, it is true the body remains, but the body is helpless. The body is gone. So it's very, very important that at the head of the month of Tevet, whoever controls the beginning, the head of the month, is in control of the entire month. And therefore, amazingly, the only holiday on the Jewish calendar that surfs its way into 2 months is Hanukkah. Why is that? Oh, because of the fact that the worst of months is Tevet, where the domination goes to Esau, to the 4th exile. That is when they are on their plateau, their peak, their height. So amazingly, at the beginning of the month of Tevet, the head of Esau is destroyed. The head. We celebrate 2 or 3 days, depending on what year it is, 2 or 3 days in the beginning, the head of the month. That is who's in control. Okay. We are told that in the Zohar Kadosh, in Exodus 78b, God divided 12 months. 6 went to Jacob, 6 went to Esau. More specifically, Jacob was able to return 2 months back to control of the Jewish people. That's for beyond the scope of this class. Some other time we'll get into it. So there's really 4 months that Esau dominates, and 8 that Jacob. But specifically, according to the Zohar Kadosh, based on a verse in Exodus where the mother of Moses, Yocheved, hid Moses for 3 months. This is a spiritual lesson for generations. There are 3 months that the Jewish people hide because they're in total control of Esau. And those months, according to the Zohar Kadosh, are, of course, goes without saying, if you guessed it, you're right, Tammuz and Av in the summer, 2 months where the temples, first and second, were destroyed, and also 8 other tragedies that are mentioned in the Talmud and in the Mishnah. And 1 in the winter, Tevet, you got it right, the beginning of the destruction of the first temple in the time of the Babylonian and time of King Nebuchadnezzar. Okay, so Esau totally dominates the month of Tevet. Bad news for them Jews. So let's look at both sides of the coin. There's always 2 sides to a coin. On one hand, Tevet is one of the lowest, or perhaps the lowest month of the year. There is no other month that there are 3 days straight of fasting. 8, 9, 10. And you know, them Jews don't like fasting. They like eating. Not easy. Yes, 3 fasts in a row. There is no other month of the year. Even when we're talking about Tammuz and Av, when the temples were destroyed, there are not 3 back-to-back, 3 in a row days of fasting. On that same side of the coin, we have the lowest of the tribes. Who's the lowest of the tribes? Dan. Give a few examples. Dan, when they left Egypt, they took, believe it or not, an idol, the idol of Micha, with them, crossed over the sea. Amazing. In the desert for 40 years, they were not protected by the cloud. They were outsiders because of their deeds. The only woman who was desecrated by the Egyptians was from the tribe of Dan. Her name was Shlomit Bat Divri. Amazing. This is like amazing a match here. We have the lowest of the months, Tevet, and we have the lowest of the tribes. And they're connected, as we said. Dan is connected to the whole month of Tevet. Yes, folks, but to every coin, there's a second side. So, on the second side of our coin, we have Dan. We know that in the Torah, we are told that 2 tribes helped built the tabernacle in the desert. The tribe of Judah, the greatest of tribes, and the lowest of tribes. Dan, he's right there. Building, hey, but what about the other guys? He's the lowest of those. Yeah, but he's going to do it. There's something special within Dan. Next, when King Solomon, from tribe of Judah, of course, son of David, when he wants to build the first temple, who does he take with him? A representative of Dan. His name was Hiram. Whoa! To build the first temple. But aren't they the lowest? Yes, but there's something special about them. And finally, as it is written in the Zohar Kadosh, Numbers 194b, that there will be a 1-2 punch when it comes to bringing the redemption. It will be Judah and also the tribe of Dan. In the end of days, there will be this hand-in-hand Judah and Dan show, bringing in the redemption. Let's look the other side of Tevet, the lofty side of Tevet. We know that during the month of Tevet was the victory of Hanukkah, the miracles of Hanukkah. Number 2, Esther was taken as to be the princess by the king's men in the month of Tevet. This is the only time in the Tanakh that it says the word Tevet. The only time is in the scrolls of Esther. Look it up on 2:16. Chapter 2, verse 16. This led to the redemption of the Jewish people. The month of Tevet, she was taken. There, the redemption began. And last but not least, of course, we have the fall of Esau took place, according to many, many commentaries, during the first days, of the month of Tevet, by Chushim destroying Esau, who of course it represents the last final galut. So therefore, as we explained, Esau, the Christian world, they are at their peak. The Zodiac sign, they are at their peak during the month of Tevet. The calamities of the Jewish people began in the month of Tevet by a siege that took place for 17 months and led to the destruction of the first temple, and the rest is history. However, it has the potential to be their greatest month or their lowest month. The precedent that happened with the tribe of Dan, with Chushim, was an amazing precedent of bringing them down at their peak. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. That is the idea. Not only that, not only did Esau receive dominion over the month of Tevet, but if you look at the zodiac sign of the month of Tevet, this is amazing. You can't make this stuff up. It's a goat. And we know that when Daniel, the prophet, when he looked and he saw his vision, he looked at Greece and he saw them as the goat. Greece evolved later on into Rome. So Daniel saw that in chapter 8, verse 21. So Greece, their peak, their height is in the month of Tevet. However, we know that is when the potential also exists for their tremendous fall. So we have the Greek represented by the goat. We have the Greece turning into Rome. Rome is, of course, Christianity is Esau. And Esau, of course, his symbol also was, he was called a person that was hairy like a goat. He lived in his community. He called one of his cities Seir, because that was his flag. That was his symbol. That was his icon. Amazing. So, folks, the question is, will this year be their biggest fall? There are so many signs. All you have to do is open up your eyes. Amazing things, how fast, speed of lightning, things are happening. You have to get excited. This is amazing. When is the United States inauguration? It's always it's always January 20th. January 20th? Baby, that is in Tevet. Wow. The head honcho, the head of America, USA, Esau, USA, the same letters, Esau. The inauguration is in their month where they control, seemingly, they're in control. But it has the potential to turn around and have their downfall. The inauguration is in Tevet. Interesting enough, it always falls out. The American presidential inauguration always falls out, usually on Tevet or sometimes on Shvat. That's it. Tevet or Shvat. So, that happens on January 20th. When we look, the world is on fire. What's going on in the world is in chaos. We look at South Korea, martial law, North Korea. We look at the turmoil America is in. Who knows? Who knows if that president is going to survive? Think people are just going to sit down and let him run the country? Don't think so. Don't think it's going to happen. Whoa, America, 1,000,001 problems. They're in turmoil. We have China, we have Taiwan, we have Russia, we have Ukraine. What's crazy over there? And you have, of course, the Middle East. You have the fall of Syria. Folks, this is amazing. Will this Kislev Tevet, Hanukkah period, will we see like the brothers of Joseph, the sons of Jacob, saw with their own eyes? In the month of Tevet, they saw the fall of Esau, the destruction of Esau, the fourth kingdom. We go on. We know that there are 36 candles. Do the math, take out your calculators, whatever you prefer. Okay, one, second day, 2 candles, that's 3. Do the math. It comes out to 36 candles. We're not talking about, of course, the shamash, which is not counted. 36 candles. Well, that's really amazing. Why? Because if we do keep your calculators out, or get your fingers and your toes ready to count, it is amazing that if we count the days of Hanukkah in Kislev, and we count the days of Tevet. Now, in our times, Tevet is always 29 days. However, when we renew the witnesses coming, and we will decide when will the new month happen, it could definitely be, Tevet will then be 30 days. But anyway you slice it, according to many Jewish law sources, we light candles during the afternoon service, which is right around sunset. So we have, if you do the math, from the 24th of Kislev to the 30th day of Kislev, and then do 29 days in the month of Tevet, or when we return to having 30 days, so then we'll just count from the 25th. Either way we slice it, it is amazing that how God orchestrated that there would be 36 candles in order to reverse the process of the domination, of the control of the nations over the Jewish people, and we would have the victory. The 36 candles representing the switch of the control going to the Jewish people, controlling these 36 days, and in the entire month of the peak, the climax of strength, power of Esau, of Edom, of the 4th kingdom. Whoa. Now, this is hinted in many other places. When Jacob was buried, this is brought down in Sota 13a. When Jacob was buried, the Canaanite nations came and they placed 36 crowns on the casket of Jacob. Now that's very weird. Why are they placing 36 crowns? Why not 10? Baskin Robbins, they have 33 flavors. Maybe they should have put 33 crowns. No, but this is exactly. The point was that this is a secret there is an undercurrent going on over here, that Jacob and his people are about to have control of 36 days. 6 days in the month of Kislev and 30 in the month of Tevet. That is the idea behind the 36 crowns about to happen when Esau is killed whenever it happened, a few days later after this event. Or look at this. The first battle royal between the spiritual angel of Esau and Jacob. What were they fighting? What was the fight about? Amazingly, the Migale Amukot tells us in chapter 66, the fight between the guardian angel of Esau and Jacob. What were they fighting about? They were fighting about Hanukkah. What was the fight about? Was it separation or integration? That was the fight. Of course, Esau and the angel were for the integration, the assimilation. And Jacob stood for separation from the nations, amazingly. So, what happens? if we open up Genesis 32:26 and Genesis 32:32, it says that when the angel perceived that he could not overcome Jacob, he injured his thigh. It says there, the word injured his, lo, lamed vav, his, that's 36. This is another hint of the control that has changed hands from the nations to the Jewish people. There we go, in this fight between Jacob and Esau over the holiday of Hanukkah. Who will control the 36 days? Whoa! Or the second verse, 32:32. Jacob was injured and the sun rose for him. Lo, lamed vav, 36, numerical value, just like his thigh, 36. Whoa! Now, getting back to Chushim. Chushim, who killed a member of the tribe of the son of Dan, and he was one that killed during Hanukkah. He killed the Esau. If you look and take the letters Chushim in the Torah, Chet, Shin, Yud, Mem, it spells the letters of Messiah. This is brought down by the Arizal. If you take the letters of Chushim, it stands for each letter. It's a reminder of the laws of Hanukkah. Listen closely. Hanukkah small. We put the menorah on the left side of our door. Yemin mezuzah, on the right side is our scroll, is the mezuzah. That spells out Chushim. Listen again, Hanukkah small, Yemin mezuzah. This we have that the tribe of Tevet, as we said, is Dan. Dan represents judgment, strict judgment, punishment, vengeance against the nations. And once again, we saw this tremendous vengeance. We've seen it especially over the last couple of months. So, will we see a repeat of the fall of Esau in the month of Tevet coming up, or during Hanukkah? Will we see it once again, God willing, and also with our events, with our deeds, Now, the last point here. There were 3 world wars, and they're not the ones that you're thinking about, but I'm going to mention them. The real 3 world wars. The World War I was fought between Adam and the snake. The snake represents the evil side, better known as the Samech Mem. Now this was brought about trickery. The snake tricked Eve. So it was brought about trickery. Remember that point. That was World War I. Adam lost. The snake won. Ding, ding, ding. Round 2. World War II. That was Jacob versus Esau. Now, amazingly, Jacob, why did God orchestrate that the blessings would have to be taken in a deceitful manner? It had to be that way, because how did the snake take out Eve and Adam? By trickery. So therefore, this is their punishment. Measure for measure. Amazing. You can't make this stuff up. Anyways, Jacob was the reincarnation of Adam. This was brought down in the Zohar Kadosh on page 117 in Exodus. It's brought down also in the book Migale Amukot. So Jacob was Adam, and who's he fighting? He's fighting Esau. We are told in numerous places, for example, the Gra brings this down in his book, Tzafra Ditznuta, in chapter 3. The Shla Kadosh brings this in the chapter of Toldot. The Marsha brings this in the Tractate of Sanhedrin 98b. They all say the same thing, that the symbol The icon of Esau was the snake. He had tattooed this on his leg. Amazingly, he tattooed this on his leg. Third World War was between two snakes. So we had Adam versus snake. We had Jacob, who's a reincarnation of Adam, versus the snake, who's Esau, whose symbol icon was the snake. His tattooed himself. Now we have World War III. We have Chushim. The numerical value is 358. And the numerical value of snake is 358. Dan's symbol on his flag was a snake. So we have a battle royal here between the holy snake, Dan, and the impure snake, represented by the fourth kingdom, by Esau. And then we have the vengeance that we see during this third battle royal that happens. Chushim, from the tribe of Dan, the holy snake, he takes down the impure snake. Esau, he takes him down in victory during this third world war. And then Jacob rejoices. Correction, it's Psalms 58 verse 11. So this showdown takes place during Hanukkah. Will this be our year? Will this be our year of redemption? Of taking the purity of the Jewish people versus the impurity of the nations, the snake, the holy snake of the Jewish people versus the impure snake. May this be the year that we see the total redemption. We are so close. May we wake up ourselves and move ourselves and improve ourselves. And may we all see each other in the temple in Jerusalem today.